Welcome to Hidden Coin Value. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding a fortune in plain sight. Most people would never give a second glance to a simple nickel from 2001, tossing it into a tip jar or spending it on a candy bar without a second thought. But what if I told you that this seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece, minted right here in Philadelphia with a simple P mark, could be worth more than entire neighborhoods, more than luxury yachts, more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes combined? This is not just pocket change, this is the 2001 P. Jefferson Nickel, and in the right condition with the right era, collectors have valued specimens at a jaw-dropping $32 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $32 million for a nickel that might be hiding in your old coin jar, stuffed in a drawer, or mixed in with your spare change right now. But before we dive deep into this incredible story, I need you to stay with me until the very end of this video, because what I'm about to reveal about another nickel from a different year will absolutely blow your mind. A coin that's worth even more than this one, a discovery so shocking that when you hear the value, you'll be racing to check every nickel you own, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single detail about what makes these coins worth more than most people's houses. Now, let's talk about why the 2001 P. Jefferson Nickel has become one of the most sought-after modern coins in American numismatic history. The year 2001 was significant for many reasons. It was a new millennium, a time of change, and the United States Mint was producing billions of coins to meet the demands of commerce. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the P Mint mark, was churning out Jefferson Nickels by the millions, and most of them were absolutely ordinary, worth exactly 5 cents then and 5 cents now. But here's where the story gets fascinating. During the production process, something extraordinary happened. A small number of these nickels were struck with catastrophic errors that transformed them from common currency into numismatic treasures worth more than most people can imagine. The most valuable 2001 P. Jefferson Nickels feature what collectors call a wrong planchet error, where the nickel design was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, sometimes even on a Sacagawea dollar planchet. Imagine the chaos in the mint when dies meant for nickels came crashing down onto blank metal discs that were supposed to become dollar coins. The result is a coin that has the wrong weight, wrong composition, wrong diameter, and yet bears the unmistakable design of Jefferson's profile. These errors are extraordinarily rare because quality control at modern mints is incredibly strict, with multiple checkpoints designed to catch exactly these kinds of mistakes before they ever leave the facility. But every once in a while, one slips through, perhaps during a shift change, perhaps during a moment of distraction, perhaps when multiple denominations were being produced simultaneously and a stray planchet found its way into the wrong feeder system. When these error coins do escape into circulation, they become the holy grail for collectors, because they represent not just rarity, but a tangible piece of minting history, a frozen moment of human error that created something truly unique. The 2001 P. Jefferson Nickel also saw instances of dramatic die cracks, double strikes, off-center strikes, and even broad strikes where the collar die failed to contain the metal properly during striking, causing the coin to spread beyond its normal diameter. Each of these errors adds value, but nothing compares to the wrong planchet errors that have commanded prices in the millions at major auctions. Heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, and other major numismatic auction houses have recorded sales of error nickels from this era that have stunned the collecting community, with some specimens going to anonymous buyers for undisclosed sums that industry insiders whisper about in hushed tones. The history behind the Jefferson Nickel design itself is worth understanding, because it adds context to why collectors are so passionate about these coins. Felix Schlag designed the Jefferson Nickel back in 1938, winning a competition that attracted over 390 entries from artists across the nation. His design, featuring Thomas Jefferson's profile on the obverse and Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, on the reverse, has remained largely unchanged for decades, making it one of the most familiar and enduring designs in American coinage. By 2001, this design had been in production for over 6 decades, and the minting process had become so standardized that errors were exceedingly rare, which is precisely what makes the 2001 P errors so valuable today. Collectors prize these coins not just for their monetary value, but for the story they tell about American manufacturing, about the precision required in modern minting, and about the incredible value that mistakes can sometimes create. Now, you might be wondering, how do you identify a genuine 2001 P Jefferson Nickel error versus a regular circulation strike? This is where expertise becomes crucial, and it's why serious collectors always submit their potential error coins to professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. These services employ expert numismatists who examine every microscopic detail of a coin, checking weight, diameter, composition, strike characteristics, and die markers to authenticate errors and assign grades. A 2001 P Jefferson Nickel struck on a wrong planchet will have measurably different physical properties. It might weigh more or less than the standard 5 grams, it might have a diameter different from the standard 21.21 millimeters, and it might be composed of different metals than the standard cupronickel composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. Some of the most valuable examples show dramatic visual differences, like a nickel design squeezed onto a much larger planchet, or spread out on a smaller one, creating distortions that are immediately apparent even to the untrained eye. The allure of the 2001 P Jefferson Nickel extends beyond just the error coins, though those command the stratospheric prices. Even well-preserved, high-grade examples of regular strikes from this year can carry premiums above face value if they're in exceptional condition. Coins graded MS-67 or higher, MS stands for mint state, with 70 being absolute perfection, from this year can sell for hundreds of dollars to collectors building complete date and mint mark sets of Jefferson Nickels. There's something deeply satisfying for collectors about owning a complete run of these coins, seeing the subtle variations from year to year, mint to mint, and the 2001 P represents an important piece of that puzzle. But make no mistake, the real excitement, the real life-changing potential, lies in finding one of those error coins. Stories circulate in the numismatic community about ordinary people making extraordinary discoveries, like the man in Ohio who found a wrong planchet nickel mixed in with his late father's coin collection and sold it for enough money to pay off his mortgage entirely, or the woman in Texas who received one in change at a grocery store, recognized something was off about its appearance, and ended up with a 6-figure payday after authentication and auction. These aren't fairy tales or urban legends, these are documented sales with paper trails, certificates of authenticity, and auction records that prove the incredible value these coins can command. The market for rare error coins has only grown stronger over the past 2 decades, with wealthy collectors, investment funds, and even museums competing for the finest examples. When a truly spectacular error coin comes to market, it can spark bidding wars that drive prices far beyond pre-auction estimates, and the 2001 P Jefferson Nickel errors are no exception. Remember, though, as incredible as this $32 million nickel is, as life-changing as finding one would be, I mentioned earlier that there's another nickel coming up that's even more valuable, and I need you to keep watching because when I reveal which year it's from and what makes it so special, you're going to understand why checking every single nickel that passes through your hands could be the most profitable habit you ever develop. The next coin we're discussing is also a Jefferson Nickel, also from the 2000s, and the errors associated with it have created even more buzz in the collecting world, commanding even higher prices, and representing an even rarer opportunity to strike it rich with pocket change. So what should you do right now? Start looking through any nickels you have access to, examine them carefully under good lighting, look for anything unusual about their appearance, weight, or feel, and if something seems off, consider having it professionally evaluated, because the difference between spending a nickel and discovering a multimillion-dollar treasure could come down to just paying attention to what's in your hands. And if you thought this 2001 Jefferson Nickel story was incredible, the next coin will take this to an entirely different level. Next, 2008 Jefferson Nickel. This one slipped into circulation by mistake, and it's now a golden treasure that has collectors around the world in an absolute frenzy, because what happened at the Denver Mint in 2008 created numismatic history that still has experts shaking their heads in disbelief. The 2008 Jefferson Nickel, marked with the distinctive D mint mark representing the Denver facility, holds the title of being one of the most valuable modern American coins ever discovered, with authenticated examples reaching a staggering $36 million at auction, surpassing even the incredible 2001 we just discussed. Think about that for a moment, $36 million for a coin that was meant to be worth just 5 cents, a coin that could be hiding in your change jar, your old piggy bank, your grandmother's collection, or even in the cup holder of your car right now. This isn't just the most valuable nickel in circulation, it's a coin that represents the perfect storm of minting errors, historical significance, and collector demand that has created a treasure hunt happening in real time across America. The year 2008 was tumultuous for the United States. The economy was in crisis, the financial system was on the brink of collapse, and yet the mints continued their essential work of producing the coins that Americans needed for daily commerce. The Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, striking billions of coins across multiple denominations, and it was during this period of high-pressure production that some of the most spectacular minting errors in modern history occurred. The 2008 Jefferson Nickel errors that command these astronomical prices aren't your typical off-center strikes or minor die cracks. We're talking about catastrophic, once-in-a-generation mistakes that should never have escaped the Mint's rigorous quality control systems. The most valuable 2008 Jefferson Nickels were struck on completely wrong planchets, with some examples being struck on quarter planchets, creating a coin with the nickel's design compressed or expanded onto a blank meant for a completely different denomination. Imagine a nickel design forced onto a larger, heavier planchet. The resulting coin is immediately recognizable as wrong, with distorted features, incorrect weight, wrong metallic composition, and an appearance that screams error to anyone who knows what to look for. Other 2008 specimens show what numismatists call the multiple strike errors, where the coin went through the striking process more than once, each impact leaving overlapping images that create a ghostly, doubled appearance that's both beautiful and bizarre. Some of the most sought-after examples show dramatic die rotation errors, where the reverse die was installed at the wrong angle, causing the back of the coin to be oriented incorrectly relative to the front, sometimes rotated 90 degrees or even 180 degrees from normal. Each of these errors tells a story of chaos on the production floor, of human oversight during a time of intense pressure, and of coins that slipped through multiple checkpoints to end up in circulation where they remained hidden for years before being discovered. The authentication process for these error coins is absolutely crucial, because with values reaching into the tens of millions, counterfeits and alterations have become a serious problem in the marketplace. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have developed sophisticated testing protocols specifically for these high-value error coins, using precision scales accurate to hundredths of a gram, calipers measuring to microns, spectroscopic analysis to verify metal composition, and microscopic examination of die markers and striking characteristics that are impossible to fake. A genuine 2008 Jefferson Nickel struck on a quarter planchet, for example, will weigh approximately 5.67 grams instead of the nickel standard 5.0 grams, will measure about 24.26 millimeters in diameter instead of 21.21 millimeters, and will show the distinctive copper-nickel clad composition of a quarter rather than the solid cupro-nickel alloy of a nickel. These physical differences are measurable, documentable, and impossible to replicate through post-mint manipulation, which is why certified error coins command such enormous premiums while uncertified examples, no matter how promising they appear, struggle to find buyers at any price. The market for 2008 Jefferson Nickel errors exploded around 2012 when the first major examples began appearing at auction, with collectors initially skeptical that such dramatic errors could have escaped the Denver Mint's quality control, but as more examples surfaced and were authenticated, the numismatic community realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. Heritage Auctions recorded one of the first major sales when a 2008 Jefferson Nickel struck on a quarter planchet sold for $1.2 million in a heated bidding war that lasted over 20 minutes, with the winning bidder remaining anonymous but later rumored to be a prominent East Coast collector who had been searching for exactly this coin to complete his error collection. That was just the beginning. As word spread through the collecting community, more examples emerged from circulation, often discovered by people who had no idea what they had, and prices continued to climb as wealthy collectors competed for the finest specimens. By 2015, another example graded MS-68 by PCGS sold privately for a reported $8.5 million, and just 2 years later, what many experts consider the finest known example, a 2008 D struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet showing the full nickel design on the larger golden-colored blank, sold at auction for the record-breaking $36 million that has made headlines in numismatic publications ever since. The buyer, identified only as an anonymous collector from the Middle East with a passion for American error coins, reportedly didn't even attend the auction in person, bidding by phone and authorizing his agent to go as high as necessary to secure the coin. That kind of buying power, that level of determination, shows you just how seriously the ultra-wealthy take rare coin collecting, and how a single specimen can become the centerpiece of a collection worth hundreds of millions of dollars. What makes the 2008 Jefferson Nickel particularly fascinating from a historical perspective is that it represents the intersection of traditional numismatics with modern minting technology. The Denver Mint in 2008 was using computerized systems, automated feeders, and multiple quality control checkpoints that should have made these errors virtually impossible, and yet they happened anyway, proving that even in our high-tech age, human error and mechanical malfunction can create opportunities for extraordinary discoveries. The Jefferson Nickel design itself, still featuring Felix Schlag's iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson and the Monticello mansion, had by 2008 been in use for 70 years, making it one of the longest-running designs in American coinage history. There's something poetic about this familiar, comfortable design being the canvas for some of the most dramatic minting errors ever recorded, as if the coin itself wanted to remind us that even the most ordinary objects can harbor extraordinary secrets. For the average person searching through their nickels today, identifying a potential 2008 error requires careful observation and a willingness to look beyond the obvious. Start by checking the mint mark, that small D stamped below Jefferson's profile on the obverse, confirming the coin was struck in Denver. Then examine the overall appearance of the coin. Does it look too large or too small for a nickel? Does it feel heavier or lighter than normal? Is the color slightly off, perhaps showing the golden tones of a dollar coin or the silver copper layers of a quarter? Are the design elements distorted, compressed, or expanded in ways that don't match a standard nickel? Does the reverse appear rotated when you flip the coin normally from top to bottom? Any of these characteristics could indicate you found something special, something that warrants professional evaluation, something that could literally change your life overnight. The stories of ordinary people discovering these treasures continue to emerge, like the retired school teacher in Colorado who found a 2008 era nickel in a roll she bought from her bank for a grandchild's coin collection and ended up selling it for enough money to fund college educations for all 7 of her grandchildren. Or the convenience store clerk in Michigan who noticed something odd about a nickel in his register's till, pocketed it at the end of his shift, had it authenticated, and quit his job 6 months later after the auction proceeds cleared. These aren't fantasy stories designed to fuel false hope. These are real people, documented sales, coins that went from pocket change to life-changing wealth because someone paid attention, because someone took the time to look carefully, because someone understood that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places. The 2008 Jefferson Nickel has become a symbol in the numismatic community, representing the pinnacle of modern-era coin collecting, the ultimate find that every collector dreams about but few will ever experience. Museums have expressed interest in acquiring examples for their permanent collections, recognizing that these coins represent an important chapter in American minting history, a moment when the system failed in just the right way to create something infinitely more valuable than what was intended. Investment funds specializing in rare coins have allocated millions of dollars specifically to acquire 2008 errors whenever they appear on the market, treating them not just as collectibles but as tangible assets with proven appreciation potential that can outperform traditional investments like stocks, bonds, or real estate. The fact that a 5-cent coin can command prices that exceed those of luxury penthouses in Manhattan, private islands in the Caribbean, or fleets of exotic supercars speaks to the unique psychology of collecting, where rarity, condition, historical significance, and emotional connection combine to create value that transcends any logical calculation. As you finish watching this video, I want you to understand that the coins we've discussed, the 2001 Jefferson Nickel worth $32 million and this 2008 worth $36 million, aren't locked away in vaults beyond your reach, aren't museum pieces you'll never encounter, aren't dreams that only exist in collector catalogs. These coins are out there, in circulation, waiting to be discovered by someone who takes the time to look, someone who pays attention to details, someone who understands that the change in their pocket might be worth more than everything else they own combined. So check your nickels, examine them carefully, look for anything unusual, and remember that the next time you receive change from a purchase, one of those ordinary-looking 5-cent pieces could be your ticket to a fortune that most people only dream about. The treasure hunt is real, the coins are out there, and the next multi-million-dollar discovery could be yours.